Hey there, fellow Saguto golfers. Tom Saguto here with your weekly e-tip. And it's been quite a rainy and cold week. I hope this passes by pretty quickly. So we got a nice warm Thanksgiving to get out and play some golf with our families. But anyways, this week we're doing something inside. And I'm talking about how to diagnose your golf swing and some common flaws. But more in particular, what allows you to hit the ball consistently in the same spot every time. Golf's number one fundamental is being able to return the golf club to the same spot every time so that you can hit the ball, then take a little divot, nice compression after impact, and maximize your distance. I've got a PGA Tour professional here in front of me, and you're looking on the screen. We're drawing some lines here and taking a look at what allows him to do this. So the first thing I want to point out, and you've been watching my tips or been following along so far, here's a little bit of what we've put together in the tips throughout the past couple of weeks. If you remember way back in the beginning, we talked about the significance of the setup and building a foundation for your golf swing. Your golf swing is 95% started in the setup. So your setup makes up 95% of the golf swing. If your setup is somewhat flawed, or off in some way, misaligned, then you can expect your swing to behave in that type of way. Behave in a slightly misaligned or experience some sort of flaw in the golf swing. Here we go. We're going to get started with this golfer's setup so you know exactly where we're headed. Notice how the golfer has weight favoring this front leg. That's his left leg. This is the weight forward concept which we discussed in an earlier tip. But it's important for a couple of reasons. One, you can see he's got a nice straight line here, but he's just got slightly more weight on his front side. So he's not tilting towards the target, just a little bit of weight on his front side, about 55%. Keeping the weight on his front side allows him, as he swings back, to keep him from shifting all over the place, swaying in the golf swing. Keep in mind that the golf swing is a circle. Let's always be aware of this truth. The golf swing is a circle. This is not to scale, but I want you to get this idea. And if you can swing your club back, we're also going to draw a line here, circles here, around his shoulders. You'll have two circles that we're paid attention to in the golf swing. The shoulder center, around the shoulders here, and then you've got the wider arc or circle that represents the swing, the club head. If you can turn your shoulders in a circle without swaying, you'll return this club back to the same spot. So watch as he swings back. He's going to keep his shoulders in that same circle as he turns back, and the weight is staying forward. Because of this, he hasn't shifted off the ball at all. He will return. The likelihood of him returning this club to the ball in the same spot is really high. As he starts down, notice how the shoulders are going to stay in that same circle. And the club head is going to return right back to where we started. At the bottom of the swing arc right there. Shoulders will continue to stay in that circle. A golfer that shifts will not experience this same sort of shot consistently. Here's what happens when the golfers shift. Assuming when the golfer shifts back, they're shifting a lot of weight to the right side. It moves their shoulders to the blue circle and consequently shifts their point of contact behind the golf ball. So a golfer that shifts to the right is likely to experience fat and thin shots more often than this professional, because the professional does not spend a lot of time shifting back and forth. It's wasted energy and wasted motion and has nothing to do with power. It's just we want to return the club to the same spot every time. So keeping the weight forward throughout the swing helps you to maintain that same relationship to your point of contact. Alright, another point of the setup that's very important. This left arm is straight. And notice how the club is on a similar line, it's almost a straight line between the club and the shaft. The left arm is the radius of the swing circle. So as this golfer swings back, the left arm needs to stay relatively straight so that he can keep that club on the same circle going back, the same arc. The left arm is not going to break down, and by the time he returns this club to impact, the left arm is still straight, almost right back to where he started to dress. Left arm is straight, and the club shaft is bent slightly, indicating that he's hitting down on the golf ball. But it's very important to maintain that straight arm relationship, because as the golfer goes back through his motions here, left arm staying straight, if he bends this left arm at any point in the downswing, if his left arm shortens a little bit, then he will likely hit behind the ball or hit it thin, because he's not maintaining the radius of his swing. So if his radius is here, let's say his arm breaks down, and at this point it shortens. Well, his club's going to get closer to his body, and when the club gets closer to his body, the circle moves shorter, or moves up a little bit. It shortens. And therefore you can see that, look down at the ball, he would actually miss the ball. So keeping that left arm intact allows him to return this club to the same spot. Think of a compass drawing a perfect circle. That's what I liken the golf swing being. Your left arm is one of the arms of the compass, and you're trying to trace a perfect circle. Alright. One last key that's very important, and I want to go look at a different view here, is diagnosing your own swing when you're on the range, looking at camera. You should take video of your swing when you practice to make sure you're on the right track. How do you know if you're on the right track? Well, first thing, those first two tips I gave you in that face-on view of the golfer are very important. They will help you hit the ball a lot better. Now, if you've taken a lesson with me, you'll notice I like to draw lines on the screen like this. This line right here represents the club shaft plane, and this next line represents the plane of the shoulders at address. For us to hit this ball perfectly, one, we need to keep our weight forward and not shift our weight a lot in the backswing. But two, we need to make sure the club travels on the proper path. And the proper path for the golf club is where it's going to trace up this bottom blue line. And I'll just distinguish these two lines. Yellow line will be the shoulders. The club will trace up the bottom blue line, indicating it is on the proper path, the plane, and then the club and the arm will be parallel to that blue line in the backswing. So check this out. Club's traveling up this blue line to the takeaway. Then at the top of the backswing, it's going to be parallel to the blue line. Then on the downswing, it's going to rejoin this blue line. So the path of the club revolves around keeping it on the proper plane going back. Now, how do we do this? Because if the golfer takes the club back on this line, he will return it, and returns it back on the same line, he will have the best chance of hitting it just a nice little baby draw. So, the best way to keep this club on the proper path is a couple motions we can do here. We've got the shoulders here, and we have to turn them appropriately, and then we've got the club working back. The way you get the club to work back the right way is, as you're taking the club back, make sure your shoulders turn on that yellow line. So the shoulder will be turning downward. Notice how this golfer at the top, his shoulders are on nearly the same line as the yellow line. he's essentially turning his shoulders 90 degrees to his spine. So if I go to here and draw a line representing his spine, he should turn his shoulders approximately 90 degrees to it in order to maintain a relationship with the ground. When he gets to the top, notice how he's turned 90 degrees, and that relationship is consistent. So if you do these things in the golf swing, I guarantee you will experience better contact and you'll have a lot more fun. Thank you for tuning in. Do these 3 things and you'll have a happy Thanksgiving golf day out there. Have a safe, happy Thanksgiving, safe travels for y'all, and thank you for watching.